my dear friends, and welcome to another edition of, welcome to another edition of Guddnite Grenada. Yeah, I think it's only our second edition of Guddnite Grenada, but anyhow, good to see you folks. Yeah, we've made it through the end of another week. Notice how quickly the weeks are flying. I certainly hope that many of you are starting to enjoy your involuntary vacation. I haven't heard any complaints, quite frankly. I haven't heard any complaints. But we're heading into the first weekend of, what's it called? Limited state of emergency. Yeah, limited state of emergency. Whoop, boop. Hello to you there, too. Thank you very much for chiming in there on WhatsApp. Well, Grims, I'm George Grant, and it's going to be a fun evening as well, because although he's not going to be here in the studio with me, we do have some company, and boy, do we have quite a few videos to show you guys this evening. So without much more ado, let's get into a rundown, if you will, okay? Tonight, we're going to start by asking a question. And it has to do with this growing practice. A lot of people, have you noticed now, even on the streets downtown, I see people wearing gloves. Yeah. I would imagine it's because there are many of them who have this sense of security that wearing gloves is going to be the solution to protecting yourself. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out. I see that there's one person who doesn't necessarily agree with that theory. I don't know where she's from, but we'll find out. You'll get to see her in just a wee bit. So hang in there. There are also some people who, they think they're invincible. They can do whatever they want. Nothing's going to bother them. Okay. Well, I'm sure many of you have by now heard the news about this broadcaster, talk show host in Trinidad, gentleman by the name of, oh my goodness, what's his name? Ian Alleyne. Yeah, there's a kind of cop show. Well, I think if anybody thought that somebody would get the virus, he would probably be the last. Well, this man allegedly now has the virus. And there's a lady who took to Facebook. Apparently she's a fan of his. But let me tell you, she is not a happy camper, because she ripped into him about his behavior, which apparently led to him contracting the virus. So, you will be hearing from her in just a wee bit. Then we're going to take an in-depth look at the coronavirus. You can never be too educated on this creature out there. Yeah. I came across a little piece which provides a little, not a little, but a lot of information about the virus. And I hope that you are going to find it helpful. Okay? So we then have the national report for you. We also have Mr. Pitt, who's making an isolated pit stop tonight. He's not going to be here in person, but he is going to be with us online. I haven't seen him show up there yet, but I do expect that he will at about 8:15. Now we're going to try and wrap things up with an inspirational. It's captioned, "A Young Jew and His Teacher." Simple video, but a very important lesson to be learned there. We like to put lessons out there, all aimed at making us better human beings. Yeah? Okay. So, let's get down to our first segment. Here's a lady who questions whether or not this whole brouhaha about gloves is the answer. Maybe. Sure, there are benefits to using gloves. But she's not sure, and she doesn't want you to be deceived into thinking that because you're wearing gloves, you're scotch-free. No. No. Check out this video and then let me know what you think.
Gloves, so that you actually see what it is you are doing. Hi guys, I work in the healthcare field, and since the coronavirus has been out, I'm seeing a lot of people wearing gloves, and they seem to think that it's a positive for them to wear the gloves, but the truth and the fact is that you're actually doing yourself more harm than good. So I decide to do a bit of an experiment using the gloves, so that you actually see what it is you are doing to yourself when you use the gloves. You're actually better off washing your hands or using hand sanitizer. But I'm gonna go through a process here, and then you're gonna see what happens when you actually use the gloves. So hold a sec. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to put some blue dye onto my make-believe train pole, and we're gonna see what happens when we use the gloves, we travel, we hold on to the train pole, etc., etc. So just bear with me, and we're gonna walk through this together, and we're gonna see what the end result is of us using the gloves regardless of what it is we're doing. Okay, so I'm putting some of the dye on a piece of a paper towel, and I am going to, this is going to be my makeshift train pole here, and I'm going to apply it onto the pole. Okay, so now I'm going to put on a pair of gloves. Okay, and we're going to go to the pole, and we're on the train, and we're basically holding on to the train that everybody else that would have been infected would have come and hold onto. So we're holding on to the train, and then sometimes we switch hands and we hold on with our other hand, right? We sit down. Sometimes if we get a seat, we sit down. All right. We sit down, we hold our hand, we pick up our phones, we play game, we might answer a text, we're then busy on the phone. When we're finished, we get a call. Gloves are still on. All these germs are still there on it. And then we take the phone, we put it to our ear with all the germs that would have been on it from the text messages, from the scrolling through, all of that. When we're done, we take the phones, we put it to our ear. Guess what? We put in the germs now on our face. You see? There we go. And if it happens to be where the mouthpiece is, guess what? You're getting it right there. Now, I'm going to use some alcohol sanitizer to wipe off the phone. You see that? That would have been your germs that would have been all over your face. Another thing that we tend to do when we're wearing these gloves, we have bags. So we come from shopping, we have the gloves with all the germs on it, we hold our bags, we take it home. When we get home, here we go. All that blue stuff, all that germs is on the bag. So we take it, we get home, our kids come to us, and what do? We take off the gloves, and after we take off the gloves, we come back now and we go back in the same bag that has all these germs all over it. We go back in the bag with all the germs, and we take off We take out of it whatever it is we brought. We may or may not wash our hands, and hopefully I'm hoping that we do wash our hands. And we go and we prepare stuff for our children. Here's the thing. When you took this out of your bag with the germy hand, it went all over this. It went all over the bread. And then you go now and you open these things. Even if you wash your hand, you come back and you hold on to the germy bag and the germy bottle to open it. And then we prepare stuff and we give it to our kids. Do you understand the reason why this whole glove thing is not a good idea? Better you use your hand, walk with your bottle of hand sanitizer, or when you get home, make sure you wash your hand. This glove is actually getting us in a whole heap of trouble with this corona. Instead of assisting us, it is actually preparing you for your detriment. I saw a young lady today, and she was busy on her phone with the gloves on. When she was done, she put the phone in her pocket, took out a pack of chips, and went on to eat it. A couple days ago, I'm coming on the train, a lady with gloves just like these, both hands. She has a shopping bag in her hand. When she gets up from the seat, she holds on to the pole, and while the train is coming to a stop, she started itching her ear with the gloved hand. So the glove really is not working in your favor. You're actually putting yourself at higher risk with the glove than without it. Alright, so remember, it's better you wash your hand or you walk with a bottle of hand sanitizer. More than anything else, when you get home, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. The solution for those bags that you come out with is better when you get home, you open the bag and have someone else come and remove the stuff out of the bag, because your hand would have held on to the outside, the handles of the bag, and you would be contaminated. So it's better you come open the bags and let someone else come take the stuff out, and then you throw your bag away and then go wash your hand. Remember to be safe, guys.
So tell me, what you all think? Well, I don't know. I haven't gotten to the point of wearing gloves yet. Not yet. Anyhow, I see that he is there. Just let me try and bring him up here. Mr. Brian Pitt. Mr. Brian Pitt. Good evening, sir. Mr. Pitt? Well, there he is. Mr. Pitt is not hearing us, my goodness. We're going to have to chip in and get Mr. Pitt a new headset or a new computer or a new phone, something new. Huh? All right. Mr. Pitt does not seem to be quite ready to go yet, so I'll tell you what. We're going to take a little break here, our first little break of the evening, and then we shall, let me see, oh, I forgot to say good evening to you guys. Don't. Let me say good evening. Hello, Anthea, good night, good to see you. Kathleen Thomas is there saying the same. Maria St. Bernard, Mandu Seals, well, Mr. Seals, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Good to see you, sir. Long time no see. Judy Lewis is saying howdy. Mr. Burkhardt, I hope we're pleasing to you tonight. I haven't seen any complaints about audio out there tonight, so I guess things are going hunky-dory, Mr. Burkhardt. Thanks for keeping an eye on things for us. Anthony Charles is there, so is Lindana Charles. Husband and wife, brother and sister, whatever. The Charleses. Ryan Jabon, Henry Joseph, Bob Blanco. Hello there, Bob. I'm still awaiting that visit from you. But not during this state of emergency, okay? We can talk electronically, but you ain't coming here. Mr. Pitt, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. How are you?
I am good. Yourself?
Well, as good as can be. I tell you, I'm enjoying my involuntary vacation. Still have a lot of work to do, but how about you?
You're physically distancing. I'm good. I I was at a virtual party tonight.
Tell me about it.
There are all kinds of virtual parties, George, all over the world. You got to just find the right one.
Okay. Yeah, I heard about those where people buy their booze and then they hook up on Skype or Zoom or FaceTime or whatever it is and have a blast. Yeah. Brian, just before you get down to whatever is on your chest tonight, I want to finish saying hi to the folks out here. Yeah, Ryan is there. He says, and Ryan is a retired nurse, and I think he's also a tutor. He says that gloves are for security, but useful. Frank Alexander is there with us. Samantha Harris is saying, but it's also the same person's hands put the stuff in the bag, dear. You ain't going to win on this one. You ain't going to win. Judy Lewis says, great idea. I tell people the glove is no use. Yeah. Anthony Howard's there. Judy Benoit is there. Judy Lewis says, it is for the emergency personnel's safety. She's referring to the gloves. Samson Joseph, Nurse Sarana, Ronnie Slinger, Ashton Fletcher, Penny Crowley. Hello there, Penny. How is Fox? Ashton is saying goodnight. Penny is saying good evening. Michelle Toussaint saying nothing. And Derek Seeley. Hey, Derek. Good to see you guys. So, Mr. Pitt, let me hear where you're going to launch from tonight. And I bet you have tons of places to launch from tonight.
Yes, it's a bit confusing. There's so much to talk about. Why don't you start?
Well, thanks for putting me in this driver's seat. I thought, I asked myself, what is Brian going to start with tonight? And I thought it might possibly be the debate that's going on about the state of emergency and whether it was properly implemented. I see a smile on your face, sir. Am I going in the right direction?
Yes, George, because it's created a lot of questions. Not only the state of emergency, but when we close our airports, I don't think we considered Grenadians outside of Grenada wanting to come home. Could you imagine you in the United States of America and you signed up to stay for 2 weeks and the 2 weeks is up?
Well, a couple of days ago I was speaking about a situation where I think you might know somebody by the name of Harry Gibson, and
Yes.
apparently his family got stranded in St. Vincent, and some got stranded here and couldn't get out and stuff like that. Yet for all, there was an Air Canada flight that came in here the other day, supposedly totally empty, to evacuate Canadians. Yeah?
Well, let's put it this way. Canada closed its borders, but Canada is looking after Canadians. So Canadians who are stuck wherever they're stuck all over the world, they are bringing them home. Are we going to do the same for Grenadians stuck? I mean, just imagine. And we have crew on the cruise ships that stay in the U.S., but they come home. How do they come home? There are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that we didn't consider when we made certain decisions, George. And it speaks to who was in the room when some of these decisions were made.
Yeah. But Brian, I hate the term devil's advocate, but I have to ask this question. Brian, bringing Grenadians home would be costly. Yes, it's important. I would want to be here, okay? I would want to be here. But Brian, we have a lot of Grenadians scattered around the world. Do you think we could afford to charter enough planes to bring these people here?
No, George, don't look at it that way. Don't look at it that way. You have Grenadians who are overseas on a temporary basis, whatever that is, on vacation, working, and in this present world situation, They have no other place to go but home. Yes? And those are the Grenadians I'm talking about, George. I'm not talking about Grenadians all over the world. We have no place to put Grenadians if they all wanted to come home at the same time. But there are people who have traveled and want to come home now because they have no other place to go. If you overstay your welcome in the U.S., you might end up in detention.
Yes. But Brian, it still boils down to cost, doesn't it, right, Brian?
Well, this is why, George, it was important that we have a CARICOM approach to this thing. If there was a CARICOM approach, I could have seen maybe a BW plane being chartered to bring people out different ports. But the point is, you have West Indians that will probably come home because they cannot stay where they are. Yes?
Yes. And Brian, while I will be the first to admit that, we should get them home, this is an emergency and one which we could not have predicted. But I dare say, my friend, if we had prepared for emergencies, not necessarily one like this, but one like this, okay? Instead of squandering a lot of the millions that we have squandered, we may have had a little kitty that we could go to and, say, hey, Brian, give me a little thing now, if we had not squandered as much as we have, right?
But who is we?
Okay, if you want me to be frank, and I'm not afraid to, governments.
Okay, let's go there, George. I understand that most of these Caribbean governments do have a kitty, It's called the CBI program.
Okay, go there. Go there. You want to go there? Go there.
George, I went to a lecture by the CEO of the OECS, what's his face? St. Lucian guy. I was here to talk about education the other day, last week or whatever. And he was praising Dominica for the use of its CBI money after the last hurricane. So most of these islands have a kitty.
But you and I are not supposed to know about it.
But you see how much is in the kitty. And it seemed to be a private fund for whatever purpose.
This is not one of those purposes.
We don't know. Maybe that's where this is coming from.
Yeah.
But George, while you got me talking, did you see that press conference with the Minister of Health the other day?
Where they announced the additional patients?
Where a reporter asked a simple question. How many people have we tested? And the minister responded as if we are not supposed to know that. Either that, or he did not know, or he's not aware that when we are sitting at home looking and listening to these press conferences, we can tell when a person is avoiding the question or just simply lying.
Brian, I watched that press conference, and let me tell you something. I admit, and a lot of people are going to come down on me for this, but I admit that in my personal heart, I believe that government is trying hard to manage this very, very untenable situation. I really do believe that they're making an effort. But something came across to me at that press conference, and maybe what you're talking about is one of them. The attitude of the Minister of Health. He seems to have little or no tolerance for the public, and in particular, the media. And I sure hope he's watching, and if he's not, I hope somebody will go tell him that George Grant said so. Because his demeanor, his posturing, is doing more harm than good in these very difficult times. And he just may very well be aggravating a situation where hopefully the people would gravitate to believing what government says. Right now, there's a lot of skepticism and cynicism. Once it comes from the government, it's garbage. Yet you believe all the tripe that's going around in social media. That's the point it's gotten to, Brian. And it's because people have lost confidence. And Mr. Steele, please, check yourself, sir. You may be aggravating the situation. Please, sir, cool it. Take a deep breath. Go ahead, Brian, whatever your name is.
I think you're I think you're absolutely right, George, and I see the emotion in your face and in your voice. Another thing a lot of these guys don't understand, that body language is important, I listened to another minister not too long ago talking about this increase or decrease in it. And his body language told me that he's convinced that this thing was legit, or that government's position was the right position to take on this issue. Which brings me, George, to the Prime Minister's address to the nation recently, when he spoke about people politicizing this coronavirus situation. And I wondered to myself, was he talking about himself, or was he talking about some other person? Because he politicized the idea with this 30% reduction in electricity charges when he read out his 14 points of stimulating this economy. And Mr. Prime Minister, if you're hearing, please, we are sensible people. Don't go there.
Don't go there.
But you know,
Brian,
George, it was. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me bring these people in out here on social media for just a minute. I hate to leave them behind. First of all, Anthea says his attitude, he preserves to be. Anthea, what have you been drinking tonight? Preserves to very arrogant. Take your time, Anthea, sweetheart. Oh boy. Must have met Samuel says he really needs to do that. Lydia James says, true, George, he looks like he doesn't want to be bothered. See, we're not the only person who's seeing this man's attitude. Oh boy. Ryan says offense is the best form of defense. Kevin Mark Burkhardt says, thanks, George. You are very right. See, Brian, they're noticing. Ryan says, I would not buy a car from this man. Donna Joseph says he is downright uncouth. Boy, it's a good thing we decided to talk about this tonight. We got these people charged up here. They had something on their chest they wanted to get off. And they are getting it off. Anyhow, go ahead, Brian.
George, you see, a lot of these people don't understand the power of a camera. The camera picks up some things sometimes that we don't want to portray. But anyway, it was nice this week to hear that the opposition party was invited to meet with the Prime Minister, and that they're now going to try to form a united front as we move forward. This is something that should have been done from day one. It took us a while, but it's good to hear that we are now there and be part of the decision making as we go forward on this COVID-19 situation. You know, George, this, you know, I appreciate the distancing, the physical distancing. I understand that 2 bus drivers was arrested today or yesterday for carrying too many people. But George, I asked myself the question, that $20 million item on the rich that the Prime Minister put on the table, he spoke about buses as it relates to the industry, as if there'll be some compensation. Is there no package of compensation for the people who drive against around on a daily basis? And who is going to compensate them for the difference between 6 passengers and 15 passengers when they take people to and from work every day? Yes, George?
Yes, Brian.
Because I cannot drive from point A to B with 6 people in it and make a profit, if you say from top to Granans, at $2.50. So, you know, we are saying all these things, we do these things, and I think maybe we don't have the right rule when we make changes, or we vote it.
But Brian, again, I told you I hate the term devil's advocate, Brian. But if you overload the buses, I mean, for example, a routine bus load when I'm on it is usually like 16 people. I mean, there's absolutely no chance of any social distancing. Huh?
I agree.
And Brian, that puts everybody at risk. I mean, I told a story the other day, sitting in the front seat, this woman coughed, and I was ready to jump sky high. You know.
I agree, George. I agree.
So how do you solve the problem?
If we want the buses to run, people to and from the jobs that we have created, that we have to, people like or whoever, then we have to pay for these people. There has to be a compensation package when you move from 15 to 6. Yes? No, I hear where you're coming from on the sense thing. You know, why would they want to run a bus? Maybe the employers should be hiring buses to bring their people, but then that's a cost to the employer. So all I'm saying, George, is that we are making this up as we go along, and it's an acting situation, because I imagine the 2 bus drivers who were arrested feeling pretty angry that they need to help a situation by getting people from point A and point B, and not. That's what I'm saying, George. Just one more item then, because tomorrow is market day. Yeah. Now I don't know what we're going to do with the market, but didn't we think of how the agriculture people going to get their produce to market? Now the hotels are closed down, and I understand that there's a market now because these guys don't have any budget. But when the marketing board was set up, the marketing board was supposed to be a farmers with this product. If I'm not, at some point, there was an arrangement for the marketing board to go around the country and collect produce in a truck. So what happened? Again, we are making decisions, thinking the things through, George. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, it's quite evident. You know, I've spoken to a couple of lawyers who said that they did speak to the Attorney General about the state of emergency. And you know, even the people who are criticizing the state of emergency, every single one of them admits that something had to be done. They're not against the state of emergency being imposed. What they're saying was, hey, We are a civilized people who work in accordance with the Constitution. Wago, where the Constitution? Go by it.
George. And this is the worrying thing. I tell you what. Think of it this way. The Prime Minister is the first among us as far as his cabinet is concerned. As I understand, if you have a member of cabinet who do not agree with the Prime Minister, he has leave. So, why it was an easy thing for the President to seek the approval of Parliament is controlled by the party. So just give us the semblance that this thing is done legally. Now, the Attorney General may argue that he has the right to do it, but again, the constitutional challenge would be decided by a judge at some point, I would imagine. But it was a simple matter to just call Parliament in and do the right thing in the first instance. So, there are lawyers that are having a nightmare over this because we have a curfew. We need to keep people inside this virus. But there's a right way and a wrong way of doing these things.
And Mia Mottley chose the right way. She went to Parliament.
There you go. And she has the seats in.
Yeah. All right. Now, you brought up something, Brian, about the market. Well, do I have an answer for you? Do I have a response for you? Just a short while ago, a release came in from none other than your darling dear friend, Nicholas T.C. Steele, Minister of Health, Social Security, and International Business. What would these guys do if they didn't have those long titles to hide behind? Huh? Let me quote for you verbatim. It is captioned, "Markets to remain closed, but relief coming for vendors." You with me? The Ministry of Health acknowledges and understands the concerns and frustrations of our nation's vendors who are not allowed to sell their produce at the markets this weekend due to the limited state of emergency measures put in place by the government of Grenada. Those measures, which include a mandate to have citizens practice social distancing of at least 6 feet, are designed to protect the country and save the lives of our citizens by limiting the spread of COVID-19 here on our shores. Please note that we are working with various entities to present a viable solution to the market vendors that will balance their ability to have a livelihood and still remain safe in the process. Early next week, an announcement will be made on the way forward for market vendors. Unquote, Mr. Pitt. Let me hear you, sir.
You're reading this thing, George, and I'm thinking to myself, is a market vendor. There are two sets of people in the market, or it might be three sets of people. One, those people who produce food. Two, the wholesalers who buy the food from the people who produce the food, the middleman. And three, a lot of people who turn in their hand by selling clothes and perfume and all kinds of stuff that came here in a barrel. We did a situation between the bottom of Market Hill and Melbourne Street. Yes, block off the street on a Friday and Saturday. I found there on a Saturday or a Friday, George, there are tents where people are selling goods, not produce, goods. Now, how are we going to deal with this situation? And again, it's people turning hand, George. They get a barrel or two because they're in New York or wherever, can't in most of them. They pack a barrel and they send it home. And People turning their hand. You know what I mean, George? That's those people. And the bus driver now feeling the pain. Are the people who comprise the majority of people at a political rally, you know. Let me say that again, George. These are the majority of people who provide the audience at a political rally, jumping and waving and wearing their green or yellow t-shirts. But they're the last people you're attending to. There's something wrong with the way you think. Or you have the wrong room when you're making these decisions. All right? Sorry to get so serious.
Hey, I don't mind, Brian. I don't mind. Because a lot of things that irritate you also irritate me. All right, Mr. Pitt. I'll tell you something I want to play right now. And I want you to stay right there. You don't have a hot date tonight, do you?
No, I just have a short party. I feel like dancing.
Brian, you ain't going nowhere. Keep your tail quiet, okay?
A virtual party, your DJ, that playing the music that you like, and you turn the volume up.
Are these people out there on social media invited?
Oh yeah. They're on Instagram, they're Facebook Live, they're all over the place.
All right. Okay, I'll tell you what I wanted to do. I want to play something here for you. Because there's a very, very serious message in here. There are a lot of people out there who still aren't taking this virus thing seriously and just going about life as normal. And I don't know if you're familiar with a gentleman by the name of Ian Alleyne in Trinidad. He does a sort of cop show, talk show kind of thing. And he has now tested positive for the virus. And there's a lady in Trinidad who's a big fan of his, but she really got agitated by the things that he had done leading up to him contracting the virus. I want to play that for you because she did a live. It runs about 11 minutes, and she did this live. And listen to this lady rip.
Confidentiality, but the thing is that he shared his status. He posted videos saying that he is COVID positive. And so I wanted to talk about that. So as I said, I really feel it for him because he seems distraught. He seems genuinely distraught, and I can understand why. But this is a video about every single solitary thing that Ian Alleyne did wrong. 1. How long we've been told non-essential travel, but he still decided to travel. He said it in his video that he went to Miami for 2 days, went the Friday, came back most of the Sunday with his family, right? So non-essential travel, well, maybe it was essential, he didn't say, but I don't know. So 1, I am saying it's non-essential travel. 2, the Ministry of Health, the government have been saying for the longest while, quarantine your damn self. How can we not get that? And you know why he is so distraught? Is because he knows that he's exposed himself to so many people that he cares about. That's why I'm so distraught, you know. That is why he's so distraught, because him put everybody who he loves at risk. So you went to the States. How often, how many times the government must repeat, do quarantine yourself? How many times? But no. We want to do what we want to do, and then we're balling. 3, the government has told you time and time again that if you suspect yourself of having COVID-19, don't go anywhere. But he went to Mount Hope, and he went to his private doctor, and he went to work, and I don't know where else he went. So as I said, this is a video of what not to do. That's all this is about, you know, what not to do. And if you want to know what not to do, check Ian Alleyne's video. Gone abroad, come back, don't quarantine, gone to work, figured he has some symptoms, went to his doctor, even though they've been telling you, if you feel you're suspected of COVID-19, call. The numbers are out there. Call 877-WELL, which is 9355. 877-9355. This government went as far as to put all the county medical officers of health's numbers out there. I share them with you on air. I have it, so I know that it exists. But no, he drove himself to Mount Hope. He decided, you know what? I'm going to find out what is wrong with me, right? I don't know who tested him. If he went to Mount Hope, I'm hoping that sample it's taken in a public hospital. So I am thinking that CARFA tested it. If not, then that is something else that is wrong as well. But I'm just saying, oh my God. So now it has one of his workers doing a live video. You know, he want the prayer warriors. The prayer warriors can help you with this, you know. And I'm a Christian. More than the prayer warriors is common sense. God cannot be giving all of us common sense. And when we refuse to exercise it, we're calling on God to come and save us. This co-worker saying, you know, here Ian coughing, but they didn't think anything of it. So all of you in that place knew that Ian Alleyne traveled, and not one of you take bad mind out your eye and say, Ian Alleyne, you shouldn't be here. Not one. And you hear him coughing. What are the symptoms for COVID-19? Cough, fever, tightness of your chest, shortness of breath. Not one of you could say to Ian Alleyne, Ian, you're coughing, you traveled, this is not good. The whole of us sit down and not worried. But as I said, you know, the thing is, every time y'all do these stupidness, you're putting me at risk. I don't know who Ian Alleyne workers are. When I go to the gas station, I don't know who I'm interacting. If I have to stop into the supermarket, I don't know who I'm interacting. And then he's saying in the video, but I was good, I didn't have any symptoms. How many damn times am I supposed to hear that there's a 14 days incubation period? So that is 14 days you're given to show symptoms. It doesn't have to be day one. He came back and he was fine. Well, obviously you weren't fine. I'm not going to say he drama queen crying, you know, because I feel it for him. I feel it for him. But this is a level of dotishness and stupidness that's going to expose the population to COVID-19. And when it comes on to that, Ian Alleyne and I cannot be friends. We can't be friends because he's putting me at risk. He's putting you at risk. Any of you here on this live, any of you know who you've interacted with, who've interacted with Ian Alleyne? You don't know. You can't even get complacent and comfortable right now. I cannot believe these people. So he's put an entire population at risk because he did not listen to what the government said. I tell you, yesterday in the live I said, you see hatred and bad mind and just mistrust of the government gonna make a lot of people do a lot of stupid things and put those of us who are responsible at risk. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to his son. It's not fair to his co-workers. And all because he decided to play stupid. Because it's stupid Ian Alleyne play, you know. Because Ian Alleyne has enough sense to know that, listen, this is how these things work. Every day he on TV parading. Yeah. You didn't know to parade in a damn house and stay quiet, Ian Alleyne? Look here. Me vexed, you know. I am upset because I am telling you, look how many people he's interacted with. And now he's saying he doesn't want to die. If you were so concerned about your life, shouldn't you have done what the government asked you to do? So you're concerned about your life after the fact. So if you die now, what should I say? I go have to tell you as it is, you cause your death. It's not going to give me any pleasure, you know. Because sometimes when you're frank and you tell people how you think and how it is, they want to say hatred. I don't hate anybody over here. But at the end of the day, he was irresponsible. Check how many syllables that may have to go through. He was irresponsible. Adana says every day he bashing the government on his program. Well, let him bash the government now. All of a sudden, he knows that it is serious. But this is probably good, It's probably good that Ian Alleyne tested positive, so that all the people who follow Ian Alleyne will start taking this thing seriously. All of them will start taking it seriously. Because if you on the program saying all type of stupidness, and now you have it, then it means that all the stupidness you chat was just that, stupidness. Y'all can't be putting people's lives at risk like that. And at the end of the day, if we end up with community spread, if we end up not being able to flatten the curve, none of you put the government name or say the word government out in the mouth, because it's we causing it. The government is doing what the government can do. We are the ones causing it. Ian Alleyne causing it. But you know what? Everybody is going to want to get up and blame the government. The government have told you what to do and what not to do. The government has organized its healthcare system. But what have you done to ensure that you don't be a part of the problem? You're going to work. Now all of them freaking out and panicking. For what? If none of you took the time out to say, Ian, you should not be in this environment, me no want to hear nothing from none of you. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because y'all making it look as if it is since March here people talking about non-essential travel. The first ever restrictions on travel that this government implemented was since the 30th of January. Take it from me who've been following this thing from day one. Since the 30th of January, this government put travel restrictions in place with China. A few weeks after that, it was China, South Korea, and that. And then they added France, Spain, this one, that one. And so the numbers kept changing. Until they said, you know what? Lock the borders. How long the government have been telling you non-essential travel? Talk to me. How long? Look here, I done with this, because this is one set of stupidness, and as much as I feel it for him, because as somebody with my own health challenges, I can just imagine how he feels now. I can imagine the level of panic. But Ian, my message to you, somebody share the live with Ian Alleyne, please. Panic can't help you. Common sense is what would have helped you in the first instance. Right? And I said yesterday in my life, if people didn't hate this government so much or didn't mistrust this government so much, a lot of us would be more responsible. But your hatred is not going to change the facts. Your mistrust isn't going to change the facts. And the facts are, COVID-19 don't respect anybody. It doesn't care what political party you belong to. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care your status quo in life. It doesn't respect anybody. The facts are the guidelines and protocols that this government has implemented were all rolled out by the World Health Organization, PAHO, Center for Disease Control. So this is not a government initiative alone. But no, on a bad mind. Well, deal with the bad mind then, no? Deal with the bad mind and see what you can do now. See what you're going to say to the people, all the people who you told that this didn't make sense. Go now, do a live right from your bed and tell them what to do. Bye-bye.
Way, Brian. Way. I bet you have a mouthful.
Whole program on that.
Pardon me?
You could have had a whole program on that. That. But one of the reasons why I deleted Facebook, George, is a lot of these Facebook lives. She's talking a lot of sense, yes, but she doesn't. Her audience is a live audience that she's talking to. And why she wouldn't help but thinking about privilege and people who have privilege, and some people don't even know they have privilege. And privilege comes in different forms. So yes, a lot of sense, but there's a right and a wrong thing. There are people, George, who is walking from A to point B in Grenada right now to get a job, to go to a job, because they must work. Yes, they realize about the but some people are sacrificing catching this thing because work to put food on the table. A lot of us don't understand that, because they're not making enough money, or they're not making any money at all. They have to feed the children. So yes, the government has to do what it has to protect all of us. But while we are doing that, we have to consider all the people. Yes, there are some stupid people that go in a rum shop and lie all night long, and we have to put this curfew in place. Yes, and they are wrong, and yes, they should be arrested. But there are people, for some reason, George, that will risk getting this virus because they don't have a choice. You see what is happening in the United States right now? Most of the highly densitized cities, New York, California, anywhere there's a high risk. And the American system is now the epicenter because a lot of people don't have health care. They are not privileged. In the larger parts of the United States where there are a lot of land and a lot of space, people are privileged. But in New York, people living on top of people. Now what does the United States government do? They make testing free. But you know, if you had to go to a hospital to get cured, you probably have to pay for that, you know, at some point in your life.
Yeah. All right.
So we have to understand privilege in this whole scheme of things, and maybe COVID-19 is going to wake us up to trying to understand other people and what their needs are. Otherwise, they're going to catch a thing and infest some of us. So yes, the lady's right, but I would not spend minutes this rant. You know, that guy is a guy, and she should be around. Anyway.
Sadly, Brian, you're having some internet problems tonight. I've seen some comments there on Facebook, and even from what I'm seeing here, your picture is very, very, very jerky. Thank you for your comments. I do have a bit of sad news here. Let me just try and pull this up on WhatsApp. You know our dear friend Sharon Roberts, who joins us here every week.
Yes.
All right. Well, Sharon sent me a WhatsApp at about 7:30 this evening. She says, one of our cousins, Sidney Crumpton, died in Brooklyn last night from the virus.
Ooh.
This has really hit home. He is from Carriacou originally. Sharon, please accept our condolences. Know it must be a tough time. Girl, you got broad shoulders. You keep on taking it. And also, in addition to that, we do have a COVID patient with us on Facebook tonight. Just let me scroll back here for a minute. Jackie O. I think Jackie O is in Washington. She says, I contracted COVID-19 from where? I don't know. I went to work like I was expected to. I was fine. And one day, I had congestion. Then as days went on, it got worse. Lucky for me, my doctor was quick to treat the symptoms early enough before it got too bad. I still sick, but I go make it. Jackie, our thoughts, prayers are with you, girl. Jackie's been with us on this platform for quite a while. Mr. Pitt, I see I kept you way over time, which I do appreciate. And you're more than welcome to stay because we still have a chunk of stuff to come here, okay? But if you have to go and shake a leg and drink your Corona and your Stag and your this and your that and whatever, you know, go. You want to be selfish, that's fine. But we do appreciate having had you here for the last little while. Thanks a lot. Are you going to stay or go?
We can stay.
Okay. So let me take a little break here and we'll come back.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Conveniently located in the Grandand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenada will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us as we energize our Spice Island.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Alrighty, folks, let's see here, 5 after 9. This afternoon I had a conversation with one of the corporate citizens in Grenada, taking steps to prepare for the onslaught, if you will, of the virus. Gentleman's name was Mr. Donnelly Blackman. He's a marketing officer with Jonas Brown and Hubbard. And he dropped in electronically to tell us how they are preparing for the very tough days we have ahead of us. Take a look at this right now.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am. But didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenada will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at...
One of the largest business establishments in Grenada is Jonas Brown and Hubbard. They've got operations all over the country, and you probably know the one on Young Street in St. George, right next to Courts, and pretty much adjacent to the Carnage. They are also one of the most community-oriented business operations in this country. And in the last 15 years, that company has made it possible for you to see and hear all of the programs that we do here on this platform, GrenadaBroadcast.com. They're also very concerned, as you can well imagine, at this point in time, about what appears to be coming upon us here in Grenada. And over the past few days, they've spent quite a bit of time fine-tuning their strategies for the coronavirus. Right now, I'd like you to meet one of their marketing officers, a gentleman by the name of Donnelly Blackman. And he's going to tell us what preparations they have made, how these preparations are going to affect you, how you can help to protect not just yourself, but this country. Donnelly, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for having us.
I would imagine that over the past few days, you guys have been really scampering around. Take a minute here to tell us about some of the plans that you guys have unveiled to deal with the situation.
Well, at present, we've made some very drastic changes within our hours of operation. Also, some of our departments are currently closed. We've changed our hours at the food fairs and also at agency on the car. That's 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we've also changed our hours of operation for hardware on the Carnage and building supplies in Grandance from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We've also had some other measures in place at the supermarkets to maintain the 6-foot distance and to minimum the amount or the quantity of persons shopping at one given time. And we've utilized our screens at all of our departments, updated with relevant information from the Ministry of Health, advising and informing customers and employees of the dangers of the COVID-19 and measures that we need to imply so that we can continue to fight against the spread of the virus.
At this point in time, are you seeing any panic buying?
Well, at the start, yes. I must say that I monitored today and it lessened down a little bit. But at the start, we had lots of customers rushing in, and it was difficult to manage the amount or the quantity of persons. Even on our web store, we have quite a number of shoppers. I mean, the web store, it has been in existence for over 1 year, where persons were able to go onto our website and they can shop. But at this present time, we've seen a great increase in terms of the traffic on the website. So we see a lot of persons, they're panic shopping, and this is something that we don't want to promote. So, the message that we continually to push, it is to stay calm, because the moment you begin to panic, that is when you begin to make decisions that can affect you for a lifetime.
At one point I was under the impression that the web shopping applied only to food fair at Grandin's, but I'm now finding out that food fair in St. George's is also under that umbrella, correct?
Yes, indeed. Now, the method we're using is that based on the customer's location, if they're closer to a food fair on the Carnage, then Food Fair Grandins will contact them, have the list for that customer sent to Food Fair Carnage, and they're going to pick the items and have it delivered to that customer.
Okay, now in terms of staff, how is your staff, including folks like you? How are you guys handling this?
Well, we have loads of information that is being disseminated within departments from the general manager, and these information is in the format of memos and constantly reminding us to practice safe hygiene. We have our customer service representatives who is constantly given the time to go to wash their hands with soap and water and to sanitize. Where we also installed the sanitizer dispensers at different strategic points. So we have some for the customers at the exit and entrance of our doors in our departments. We also have some available in the back end for employees so that wherever they're passing, they can quickly just go ahead and make sure they have some sanitizer to sanitize their hands. And we're trying our best to not have too much clutter or any at all. So even with employees, trying to maintain distance. And we're also advising employees that when they go home to make sure they wash their hands properly, then remove their clothing, make sure they have a shower before interacting with their families home.
I know one of the things that supermarkets appear to be doing is trying to make it a little bit easier for older folks like me who want to do some shopping. Yeah. Tell us what you guys are doing in that regard.
Well, we've recently fully established a line that is specific for person that is not physically able, and for the elderly, it is a priority line. And for the first 2 hours of our opening period, so we now open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Within the hours of 8 to 10 p.m., the elderly and those that is not physically challenged or are able can come in and they can shop with a bit of ease without the rush, because at this present time you would still find a lot of person who is panic shopping. So you would still have the rush, you may still have little influx coming in. So we're trying to maintain and to manage the traffic and the in and out so that we can still keep our distance yet be able to fulfill your shopping experience.
Now, this question is going to be a tough one for you to answer, because I'm not sure that anybody knows how long this state of emergency is going to last. But how far into the future are you guys prepared to go with this?
Well, we're gonna continue to try as much as we can. Again, with what's happening, as long as we all play our part and come together as communities, we will put a stop to the spread of the virus, and this in itself would make it easier to manage. So our appeal to customers, it is to the island itself, I mean everyone, Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique, and to those at large, to obey instructions. If there's no need to get out, you stay in. Make sure you're practicing proper hygiene, and let's see how we can all team together to combat the against the spread of COVID-19. It is the ultimate goal, and as long as that is achievable, or as long as it is achieved, then we'll be able to see how we can now regulate and come up with at least at that time they may have a cure or so that we can put an end to it, to this dreadful disease.
All right, finally, to wrap it up, I know that you have 2 supermarket operations that I know of. You probably have more.
Yeah.
You have an automotive department. You also have lumber. Just summarize for me, please, the operations. The supermarkets are going to be open, what, 8 to 10?
Yes, the supermarkets, they'll be open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The agency department that's in Kuriani Boulevard, they'll be open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. as well. That is from Monday to Friday. The supermarkets will be open from Monday through Saturday. And the hardware on the carnage and building supplies down at Grandans, they'll be open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
All right. Good luck, Donnelly. Good luck. Congratulations
Yes,
on
thank
the
you.
effort that you guys have been putting into this. And to you and the rest of your staff, I say strong. And to your general manager, please continue to provide the leadership that you are. Not only Hubbards,
Yeah.
but the nation needs people like you right
indeed.
now. Take care, guys.
Thank you. All right, take care. Thank you.
my granddaughter.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy.
To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal.
When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Dispose of the tissue immediately and then wash your hands. If you notice someone has a fever and cough or other symptoms of respiratory illness, avoid close contact when possible. Let's all do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. Our health is our collective responsibility.
Alrighty, folks, we are back now. Perhaps I didn't make it clear at the top of the program, but the segment you just saw with the gentleman, Mr. Blackman from Hubbards, that was actually pre-recorded. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that at the top of the program. That was pre-recorded this afternoon about 5 o'clock, okay? The reason why I'm mentioning that is because there are a couple of comments here that unfortunately I can't answer, but as far as I know, he's in the audience tonight, so he may want to call us subsequently, and we'll get the responses to these questions. Lovington Taylor is asking, how are the staff getting to work? Good question. And Dobson C. Gray says, hey George, I believe the 2-hour window also caters to essential workers as well. I've been hearing a number of places saying just seniors and special needs. Yeah. I'm not going to call names, but yes, I've heard the same, Dobson. Okay, folks, now, over the past few weeks, there's been a lot said about this virus. A lot. But I don't think you can ever learn too much about it, because it seems like there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of stuff that's just being discovered about the virus. And I have a little piece here which I'd like to share with you. Apparently this was released since December 2019, but the information is still pertinent. Check this out.
Authorities notified the world that a virus was spreading through their communities. In the following months, it spread to other countries, with cases doubling within days. This virus is the severe acute respiratory syndrome-related coronavirus 2 that causes the disease called COVID-19 and that everyone simply calls coronavirus. What actually happens when it infects a human, and what should we all do? A virus is really just a hull around genetic material and a few proteins, arguably not even a living thing. It can only make more of itself by entering a living cell. Corona may spread via surfaces, but it's still uncertain how long it can survive on them. Its main way of spreading seems to be droplet infection, when people cough, or if you touch someone who's ill and then your face, say rubbing your eyes or nose. The virus starts its journey here and then hitches a ride as a stowaway deeper into the body. Its destinations are the intestines, the spleen or the lungs, where it can have the most dramatic effect. Even just a few coronaviruses can cause quite a dramatic situation. The lungs are lined with billions of epithelial cells. These are the border cells of your body, lining your organs and mucosa, waiting to be infected. Corona connects to a specific receptor on its victim's membranes to inject its genetic material. The cell, ignorant of what's happening, executes the new instructions, which are pretty simple. copy and reassemble. It fills up with more and more copies of the original virus until it reaches a critical point and receives one final order: self-destruct. The cell sort of melts away, releasing new corona particles ready to attack more cells. The number of infected cells grows exponentially. After about 10 days, millions of body cells are infected and billions of viruses swarm the lungs. The virus has not caused too much damage yet, but corona is now going to release a real beast on you, your own immune system. The immune system, while there to protect you, can actually be pretty dangerous to yourself and needs tight regulation. And as immune cells pour into the lungs to fight the virus, corona infects some of them and creates confusion. Cells have neither ears nor eyes. They communicate mostly via tiny information proteins called cytokines. Nearly every important immune reaction is controlled by them. Corona causes infected immune cells to overreact and yell bloody murder. In a sense, it puts the immune system into a fighting frenzy and sends way more soldiers than it should, wasting its resources and causing damage. Two kinds of cells in particular wreak havoc. First, neutrophils, which are great at killing stuff, including ourselves. As they arrive in their thousands, they start pumping out enzymes that destroy as many friends as enemies. The other important type of cells that go into a frenzy are killer T cells, which usually order infected cells to commit controlled suicide. Confused as they are, they start ordering healthy cells to kill themselves too. The more and more immune cells arrive, the more damage they do, and the more healthy lung tissue they kill. This might get so bad that it can cause permanent, irreversible damage that leads to lifelong disabilities. In most cases, the immune system slowly regains control. It kills the infected cells, intercepts the viruses trying to infect new ones, and cleans up the battlefield. Recovery begins. The majority of people infected by corona will get through it with relatively mild symptoms. But many cases become severe or even critical. We don't know the percentage because not all cases have been identified, but it's safe to say that there is a lot more than with the flu. In more severe cases, millions of epithelial cells have died, and with them, the lung's protective lining is gone. That means that the alveoli, tiny air sacs via which breathing occurs, can be infected by bacteria that aren't usually a big problem. Patients get pneumonia, respiration becomes hard or even fails, and patients need ventilators to survive. The immune system has fought at full capacity for weeks and made millions of antiviral weapons. And as thousands of bacteria rapidly multiply, it is overwhelmed. They enter the blood and overrun the body. If this happens, death is very likely. The coronavirus is often compared to the flu, but actually it's much more dangerous. While the exact death rate is hard to pin down during an ongoing pandemic, we know for sure that it's much more contagious and spreads faster than the flu. There are two futures for a pandemic like corona: fast and slow. Which future we will see depends on how we all react to it in the early days of the outbreak. A fast pandemic will be horrible and cost many lives. A slow pandemic will not be remembered by the history books. The worst case scenario for a fast pandemic begins with a very rapid rate of infection because there are no countermeasures in place to slow it down. Why is this so bad? In a fast pandemic, many people get sick at the same time. If the numbers get too large, healthcare systems become unable to handle it. There aren't enough resources like medical staff or equipment like ventilators left to help everybody. People will die untreated. And as more healthcare workers get sick themselves, the capacity of healthcare systems falls even further. If this becomes the case, then horrible decisions will have to be made about who gets to live and who doesn't. The number of deaths rises significantly in such a scenario. To avoid this, the world, that means all of us, needs to do what it can to turn this into a slow pandemic. A pandemic is slowed down by the right responses, especially in the early phase, so that everyone who gets sick can get treatment and there's no crunch point with overwhelmed hospitals. Since we don't have a vaccine for corona, we have to socially engineer our behavior to act like a social vaccine. This simply means two things: not getting infected and not infecting others. Although it sounds trivial, the very best thing you can do is to wash your hands. Soap is actually a powerful tool. The coronavirus is encased in what is basically a layer of fat. Soap breaks that fat apart and leaves it unable to infect you. It also makes your hands slippery, and with the mechanical motions of washing, viruses are ripped away. To do it properly, wash your hands as if you've just cut up some jalapenos and want to put in your contacts next. The next thing is social distancing, which is not a nice experience, but a nice thing to do. This means no hugging, no handshakes. If you can stay at home to protect those who need to be out for society to function, from doctors to cashiers or police officers. You depend on all of them. They all depend on you to not get sick. On a larger level, there are quarantines, which can mean different things, from travel restrictions or actual orders to stay at home. Quarantines are not great to experience and certainly not popular, but they buy us, and especially the researchers working on medication and vaccination, crucial time. So if you are put under quarantine, you should understand why and respect it. None of this is fun, but looking at the big picture, it is a really small price to pay. The question of how pandemics end depends on how they start. If they start fast with a steep slope, they end badly. If they start slow with a not so steep slope, they end okayish. And in this day and age, it really is in all of our hands, literally and figuratively. A huge thanks to the experts who helped us on short notice with this video, especially Our World in Data, the online publication for research and data on the world's largest problems and how to make progress solving them. Check out their site. It also includes a constantly updated page on the corona pandemic.
Alrighty, folks, there you have it. Some more information about the coronavirus. Now, I'll tell you what, I have kept you over time. It's, 26 minutes away from 10 o'clock. And just about curtain time. But not before we find out what the government has to say about the virus. At least what they had to say today. So check them out.
COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat rolls out first 2 programs. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Friday, March 27th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The Government of Grenada COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat (CES) is rolling out the first 2 programs from the list of incentives announced by Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell during his address to the nation on March 20th. These are the payroll support, whose beneficiaries include restaurants, bars, hotels, small travel agent and other tourism-related businesses, and income support, which will benefit public buses, taxi drivers and tourist vendors. The measures are part of a comprehensive plan announced by the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance to cushion the effects of COVID-19 on various sectors of the economy. Ms. Chanel Andrews is the Strategic Program Manager at the Ministry of Finance with responsibility for public relations in COVID-19 Economic Support Unit. She explains the criteria for the payroll support.
The criteria for payroll support: persons must be registered with the Inland Revenue Division and the National Insurance Scheme. Funding should not be used for salary payment to owners, directors and managers. The entity must be in operation up to March 1st, 2020, and persons who would have hired employees after March 20th would not be eligible for payroll support. Monthly application with employee verification is required, and we are asking that persons apply the vacation leave in the first instance as a means of employer's contribution. Now, this program is a contributory support program, and government would not be paying the entire salary of the employees, but it's the expectation that the employers would pay a portion and government would pay a portion of the employees' wages and salaries.
Forms for the payroll support program can be accessed at www.finance.gd. Ms. Andrews says, as of Tuesday, March 31st, the forms can be physically collected at all district revenue offices and the Treasury office on the Carenage, but beneficiaries are being urged to utilize the online forms as much as possible. She also outlined the criteria for those benefiting under the income support.
They must be registered with the National Insurance Scheme. They must be registered with the Grenada Tourism Association wherever applicable. We know not all persons would be registered with NIS or even GTA. So we're asking that persons who are not registered with GTA, in order to process the payment of funds, we must have a national insurance number. So we are asking you to go and get registered with NIS. So when you come to do the application with us, it would be much more easier for you and easier to process for you, right? It's a one-off application for this category, and they would be paid on a monthly basis. The employee verification form would be required where applicable, and that might be in most cases where, for instance, I may have a bus, but I employ a conductor and a driver. So you would need some form of verification that my employees would have received the payments, right? We are asking that all application forms come back into the office by 10th of April 2020.
Ms. Andrews says the employee verification forms must be submitted on time for additional funds to be accessed. The COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat was officially established to implement the incentive programs announced by the Prime Minister. The Supreme Court Registry says in response to measures outlined to reduce the movement of persons in light of the COVID-19 outbreak, its employees will be working remotely from home until directed to do otherwise by the government of Grenada. It says in the event that instruments need to be lodged in the Deeds and Land Registry or the Bills of Sale Department in order to meet statutory deadlines, emails should be sent and copied to make an appointment to facilitate this process. Arrangements have been put in place for the electronic filing and service of documents required for the respective high courts for emergency applications. The court is scheduled to proceed on its annual Easter vacation on the 8th of April 2020 when the law term comes to a scheduled end. The registry says all matters scheduled for hearing in the High Court for the period March 26, 2020 to April 8, 2020 are adjourned to a date to be fixed by the court. Jurors are advised that they are not required to attend the criminal assizes until further notice. Continuing with the news, the Grenada Tourism and Hotel Association says they are collaborating with hoteliers to keep the tourist destination in the minds of visitors during the down period due to COVID-19. On March 20th, Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell announced a $20 million worth of payroll support to hoteliers, restaurant and bars, travel agents, income support to buses, taxi operators, vendors, and others.
Currently, we're working alongside various organizations as well. The Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. We have a network of various associations throughout the entire region where we collaborate about best practices and what they're doing within their hotel sector and how we can possibly use their tools and resources here in Grenada as well. So we have made resources available. We'll be implementing a new website as well to help our hoteliers. We're hoping to communicate more effectively, like what we hear from government. We're trying to send that out to our membership as well, so they are in the know.
That was Chief Executive Officer of the GHDA, Alleyne, Friday. She says hoteliers are exploring ways they can get creative with marketing strategies.
So we have to be creative, right? Because this is all new for everyone right now. We're all basically trying to navigate this without ever experiencing this before. So basically we are relying on one another. Grenada tourism has to be on everyone's minds. And then looking forward in terms of being creative to, you know, in terms of, again, how do we market ourselves? How do we present ourselves and keep ourselves in the minds of the everyday consumer? We have to restore faith in the industry.
The tourism outlook for 2020 looks dismal. Hotels are saying to visitors, do not cancel their vacation to Grenada, just postpone until further notice.
This was initially looking as one of our best years in the tourism sector, and to see it plummet so quickly, I mean, as the rest of the world, I mean, to see it happen so quickly has put us in a very dire state. The outlook right now is quite dismal, just because we don't know. As with the rest of the world, we're taking it step by step, day by day. Again, we are really concerned about our staff, retaining staff, because we've built relationships, we've trained, there are close ties, and of course we want to retain our staff. And then going forward, it's also important how we market ourselves, right? So right now, we're telling people, don't cancel, postpone. We will be open one day.
This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy.
To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal.
When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Dispose of the tissue immediately and then wash your hands. If you notice someone has a fever and cough or other symptoms of respiratory illness, avoid close contact when possible. Let's all do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. Our health is our collective responsibility.
Welcome back. The Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, has proposed a revised examination strategy for the scheduled May or to June 2020 examinations to be rescheduled to July due to COVID-19. Christian Mitchell tells us the intent of the proposal is to yield valid grades and minimize the disruption to the education sector.
The Caribbean Examination Council has been taking into consideration all possible factors going forward for the CSEC, CAPE, and CPEA examinations and says they will continue to monitor developments of the COVID-19 pandemic in the region while keeping in contact with relevant ministries of countries impacted. A press conference was held on Thursday at the CXC headquarters where the necessary exam modifications were highlighted.
The administration of at least one common paper, and in this case, the multiple choice assessment. 2, the utilization of school-based assessment and the paper 3-2, which is the alternative to SBA for private candidates. 3, awarding final grades based on the moderated SBA and the multiple choice assessments.
Additional components will have to be completed for modern languages, visual arts, and human and social biology using e-testing online-offline modality. The Council advised the general public that the modality will not affect the marking or releasing of examination results.
This strategy will employ the e-testing modality online and offline in order to reduce the administration processing time, resulting in the shortest turnaround time for marking and releasing of examination results. In addition, it will provide an opportunity for timely presentation of grades to facilitate matriculation to higher education and to access employment.
The Council also urges both students and teachers to employ the CXC Learning Hub, which provides the opportunity to be prepared for the upcoming exams.
Students and teachers are encouraged to utilize the CXC Learning Hub, our e-learning platform, and provides learners and instructors with a single access point to multiple resources geared towards examination preparation is available at learninghub.cxc.org.
For the National Report, I am Chrisanne Mitchell.
That story just ended the National Report for today, Friday, March 27th. Let's recap the top story. COVID-19 Economic Support Secretariat rolls out first 2 programs. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
These, yeah, it sure does. Invitation to join me on Sunday morning for the next edition of Sundays with George Gregg. As always, power chat. Be sure to join us. Parting word tonight from the Holy Scriptures comes to you from the book of Psalms, Psalm 91, verses 1 and 2. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Psalm 91, 1 and 2. Okie dokie, pilgrims. On that note, Georgie Porgy is going to hightail it out of here with thanks for your company this evening. Hope you were informed, educated, entertained. God bless you, and we shall see you on Sunday. So long.